Today I'll be talking about Louie Zamperini from Unbroken, the book written by Laura Hillenbrand that my mom got me for Christmas like 8 years ago, and the only movie directed by Angelina Jolie that I probably will ever watch. This is a mashup though because of the book. I'll also be doing a movie review after telling the story, so consider this the genesis of both the history and movie review series. To quote the Bible, in the beginning God created the history and movie review series and said, "Let there be viewer retention." And so it was. Amen. Alright, let's do this. Louie Zamperini was born in Olean, New York on January 26, 1917, to Italian immigrants Anthony and Louise. He moved to Torrance, California when he was 2 and didn't speak a lick of English. Since he was Italian, he got bullied a lot, but then his dad taught him how to fight and he turned into the bully, like an episode of The Fairly Odd Parents. His brother got him to stop smoking and drinking, which he did since he was 5, legend, by making him join the track team, and he started absolutely killing it on the track. Not that track. He got so good, he didn't lose a single race during high school and set a national high school record with a mile time of 4:21.2, a record which would last 20 years and got him a scholarship to USC. When he was 19, he made the team for the Berlin Olympics in 1936 with that Jesse Owens, and wasn't good enough for his main event, the mile, so they put him in the 5,000 meter race and he got 8th, but ran a 56-second last lap, an Olympic record for the event. Hitler saw him finish and wanted to meet him, saying, quote, "You're the boy with the fast finish," which is like, yeah, no shit, but if I was funny, I'd make a gay joke there. Then war broke out, and Louie was drafted and assigned as a bombardier who drops bombs on all the targets and later deals with the guilty thoughts of pressing the button to end innocent men's lives. After one bombing mission where his bomber was torn to shreds and they had to skid land with one fucking wheel, his crew was given another B-24 bomber that was known for being a lemon, or the PT Cruiser of planes, the Green Hornet. So due to American ingenuity, on May 27, 1943, the Green Hornet crashed and only 3 of its 11 crew lived. Louie, his best friend the pilot Phil, and this dickhead named Francis McNamara. Francis panicked and ate all the life-saving chocolate like the dickhead he is. The one good thing he did was help fight against shark attacks. Then, because Francis is bitch-made compared to the Italian stallion, he died after 33 days on the raft. So 2 weeks later, after 47 days of catching rainwater, eating raw fish, and having their skin dyed yellow from the raft, I'm assuming so they could better infiltrate the enemy, they were picked up in the Marshall Islands by the Japanese. He thought that he held the record at the time for the longest time spent on a raft at sea, but unfortunately, he had nothing on the current record holder, Poon Lim, who survived 133 days alone in the Atlantic and had been rescued a couple months earlier. I imagine this is one of the worst Guinness records to hold, because not only do you spend all that time becoming a rotting corpse on a raft in the middle of the vast ocean, but you can't look at an ocean ever again without remembering looking out every day and seeing nothing but blue, the loneliness of having nobody to help, the overwhelming uncertainty of rescue, and all the fucking nuts Poon had to bust in the depths of the sea. I mean, come on. Anyway, after being captured, Louie was then separated from his pilot and spent the rest of the war in POW camps, being starved some more and tortured by this man, Utsuhiro Watanabe, otherwise known as the Bird. No, not that one. They called him the Bird because he'd fly at people and beat them up. Hey, if they were scientists, they wouldn't be there, would they? The Bird actually moved from Louie's first camp for a little bit before Louie himself was relocated to where the Bird was, and they had a really happy reunion. He was described in the book as handsome and jacked, kind of like our friend Louie here, so maybe in different circumstances, they could have had something. They even wrote that into the script for the movie, too. Maybe in the deepest part of this iceberg, there's some Rule 34 that should land everybody affiliated with it in jail. Life in the Japanese POW camps wasn't easy. There was very little terrible food with even worse nutrition, backbreaking labor every day, which caused Louie to hurt his ankle, ending any hopes of resurrecting his running career, like MJ signing with the Wizards, and there was just a general disregard for the Geneva Convention, like taking shopping carts from Walmart. You know you shouldn't, but who's going to stop you? Eventually, the war ended, and Louie was rescued from Japan and brought back to California, where he'd deal with PTSD, and he'd cope by drinking and beating his wife, Cynthia Applewhite, who has the most 50s woman name I've ever heard in my life. After being exposed to the life of the average man in the 50s and seeing the Bird every night in his PTSD nightmares, Louie found God and dedicated his life to that and got boring pretty much. But instead of holding a grudge against the Bird for the abuse he endured, he chose to forgive him. How nice. After the war, the bird ended up on General MacArthur's list of the 40 most wanted Japanese war criminals, landing in the number 23 spot, and in 1946, he took his talents to South Beach. Just kidding. He got away with everything. Legit, he went into hiding, waited until the charges against him were dropped in 1952, then became a life insurance salesman. I bet his sales pitch was, if you buy a policy, your family will have a better life than those who have met me. Fast forward 40 years to 1998, Japan hosted the Winter Olympics in Nagano, which wasn't far from one of the POW camps Louie was at. And at 80 years old, he ran as a torch runner. He wasn't just in Japan for the Olympics, though. 60 Minutes decided to do a piece on Louie for the Olympics, and somehow, someway, a whole 53 years later, got Mutsuhiro the Bird Watanabe to do an interview in which he admitted to beating and tormenting prisoners of war, and I quote, "I treated the prisoners strictly as enemies of Japan," which is in the movie too. So Louie reaches out, hoping to see his abuser that he thought about killing every night after the war, hoping that he could see his face and tell him that he forgave him for committing war crimes and getting away with it. And what does the bird do? He refused to see him. He literally tortures Louie, gets away with it, doesn't let Louie get closure, and dies. Louie died in 2014 from pneumonia at age 97, so maybe the true best diet out there is the 47-day birds and fish diet. Now, not all that's included in the movie, but like I always say, the book is always better than the movie, and that's still true here, but the movie isn't that bad, I guess. Let's flip the vinyl from the history side to the movie side. The movie starts with a little bit of timeline fuckery, going from Louie blowing up Japanese stuff as the bombardier to young Louie being a thief and disappointing his parents. Too real. After a training montage and shitty dialogue, Louie's setting records for torrents and showing us that being the fastest kid used to mean something. Then back to the present, where Louie runs a 412 mile in sand. Then they ship this Olympic athlete approaching his prime in a shitbox plane for a rescue mission. Surely exceptions can be made, right? Like, give him a desk job or something. Another flashback, and Louie's in Nazi Germany for the 36 Olympics. And they made this whole big deal out of Louie's last lap, running it in 56 seconds and a huge comeback. Yeah. But they skip over the fact he did all that and got 8th, losing to 3 Finns, which, yeah, they used to be good at something that wasn't eating sheep face and being happy. And whoosh, permanently back to the present, they crash, and Max starts being a dickhead. But honestly, it's hard to get angry when they have Finn Whitrock playing as him. I mean, $20 is Louie's reaction in the movie is very mild. I feel like there should have been more animosity and hatred, maybe a little murder. Also, how in the fuck did Louie's hair stay like that while dying on a raft? Looks like he just got done doing it before putting on an apron and working at the deli all day. The only time there's music during the whole raft era was when Mac finally kicked it, and his character really didn't deserve it. I think it would have been really funny if they went from Mac asking if he was going to die to day 45 and Mac just isn't there anymore. I lied. There's angelic music when Louie starts going full schizo, probably what led to him losing his shit after they got captured. It's unfortunate that because it's a true story, there's no possibility of Louie dying or not. You know what's not going to happen in this scene, where they're thinking they're about to be beheaded, other than the actors portraying their best about to be katana'd faces, which are really good in this scene. Louie looks broken, but you know the movie isn't over. When Louie and Phil get separated, there's another distinct lack of reaction from Louie. I would feel better if he punched at least a couple guards trying to get to Phil before ultimately getting the stick, but that's on its way with Miyavi. And if you just so happen to be wondering, he's a Japanese musician who made the song Snakes for the Arcane League of Legends series and had never acted before this movie, which is kind of insane to me for how good he portrayed a psycho. But then again, he's a musician. The POWs have this whole system of getting info about the war before the guards can, and just getting the upper hand in any way possible. And I feel like this montage should have had Sneaky Snitch playing as the background music. Alright, I find this scene hard to believe. This sounds like a story a soldier would tell at a bar after the war. I just don't believe that someone could take 300 punches to the face, which all seem to be hard right hands, and not suffer brain damage, a fractured skull, jaw, orbital bone, lose teeth, or fully recover in any way. He wasn't even knocked unconscious until, like, the last punch. That is wild to me, because at least one of those guys has to hit like Jack Dempsey. So the bird leaves the nest gets firebombed, the chicks follow the bird to the new nest, where Louie faints when he sees the bird again. And also this asshole who ruins Louie's chances of an Olympic medal with one push. Add this to the what if bin. Like all movies based off of books, there's embellishment here and there. The most ridiculous of which is this scene, where the bird made Louie hold a plank of wood above his head and waited for him to drop it, but in a sheer act of will and hate for the Japanese, he held it for longer than the bird wanted him to. And Angelina Jolie decided everyone, including the Japanese, would sit there and watch Louie hold a piece of fucking wood, eventually causing him to start yelling in a defiant act against his oppressors. How valiant, how courageous, what a role model, what a Oh. He got murked. He got one-tapped. This scene is so dumb. Everyone doesn't stop to watch a guy hold a plank. No, not this guy. Louie holds it while being emaciated and weak. Have you ever held something heavy above your head? You wouldn't last a minute. I don't care if you think you're David the Almighty Goggins or if a sexy Japanese man with a kendo stick is threatening you with a good time. If I'm Louie and I've been beaten down and tormented, then told that the war is over, but I'm about to be shot dead in a river, how do they not lose their shit immediately? Like, grab the officer's weapon like it's an average Thursday night already. And just like that, boom, war over. Americans did the thing twice, and the bird flew the nest again. Louis returns home, and we get the nice closure of his life's journey, except for that part. And Angelina Jolie wraps it up nice with Coldplay singing the credits. Jack O'Connell starred as Louie, and with what the screenplay gave him, it was a very good performance. What was mostly lacking was the hope that Louie always had in the book. This movie was a low blow here, bad luck here, and a beat down like Khabib here. But only a few times do we see Louie never giving up hope, which is the whole point of the story from the book. He looks defeated and broken the whole movie, but I guess this scene makes up for it, even though it's dumb as shit. Considering this was Angelina Jolie's debut as a director, the cinematography was probably the best part of this movie. You got shots like this, and this. Which is why it was nominated for an Oscar in cinematography, but if there was an award for Best Combat Graphics, Unbroken would win that one too. It also got a nomination for sound mixing and sound editing, but who remembers those guys? I mean, it was great, don't get me wrong, but the movie barely had any music and no score except for this scene, and it doesn't matter because the scene was ruined by being dumb as shit. The lack of music made it feel dreary and hopeless when that's the opposite of the message of Louis' story from the book. The lacking parts of this movie for me was the dialogue. Not only half the time could you barely understand what the fuck anybody was saying, but the whole time it was slow and unrealistic. Like Louis' brother's whole role in the movie was giving him inspirational quotes every 2 seconds. Even in Louis' own head, that's all he did. There were some very unmemorable parts to this movie, like the World War II soldier speak and the grisly Sigma face every war character does, in every war movie, nonstop, unless you were getting flounced or shot at. Also, the violence and consequences of war. I mean, if you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times. Unless you really want to push the envelope like D-Day and Saving Private Ryan or a Tarantino movie, I'm not going to cry if I see a bunch of corpses, because every war movie has them. This is a tough rating for me, because I don't like to rate things in general, but I know if I don't do movie ratings, I'll be shaken down for an answer like a K9 dog does with Mark Ingram. So I'll give Unbroken a 2.5, just because those two dumbass scenes ruined the whole thing for me. Follow me on Letterboxd to see a more concise review and so I can get validated for spending so much time watching movies. Peace! There it is. First one done. Can't wait to look back and kick myself for making all those shitty jokes. Speaking of which, I'd like to issue an apology to all Finnish people. After recording, I realized sheepface or smalahova is Norwegian, so my bad on that one. Please don't read the comments like it's a poor English medieval village. This is all hindsight 2020, but there are things that are so obvious to me now. Like, I can write to my max on a subject like this. Like, I can't think of a single other thing to write about Louie, and I'll only get a 14-minute video out of it. After writing said script, I only used my first or second take, when there are some that I 100% should have done another take because it sounds like I'd rather be talking about anything else. So I guess I should focus on not speaking like how I do normally and give more effort and give the Mr. Beast YouTube voice a try. Also, halfway through this video, I realized I completely forgot about copyright being a thing and that I've been using shit off Google and my video will get clapped by 11 different companies immediately. Another extremely obvious thing in hindsight to me is me saying a video every 2 weeks. My last video was not that. Look, all I'm gonna do is make excuses. College is hard. I'm busy with classes and assignments, and video essays are sick, alright? So listen, motivation comes in waves, but if these videos do well, I don't care how many all-nighters I have to pull or how many fruit punch rock stars I have to drink, I will commit to get videos out if people enjoy them. So if you stuck around and just so happen to enjoy the vid, do all the liking, commenting, subscribing if you want, maybe. I don't really care. But if you made it this far, thanks for watching.